everybody, and welcome to another edition of Skip Happens. I know, I bet you all think I left because it's been a couple of weeks since we've gone on with a podcast, but we're back at it now. Be honest with you, I was a little down and out, and my guest, Tiffany Woys, and I were just chatting about that and all the stuff that's going around, but I'm back at it now. Feel great, and tonight I feel really super great because no stranger to the Skip Happens podcast. We're talking about Tiffany Woys. Tiffany, how are you, my girl? How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh my God, it's so good to see you.
It is so good to see you.
It's been a little bit. I get that. Wait a minute. Let me do this. I want everybody to hear this. She's coming out with a brand new song. I'm gonna give you a little taste of that before we get into a lot of deep conversation. Here we go.
I believe we're a little more same than we are different. I believe just a little more grace will do us good. I believe there's no place better than the place we're living. So I believe old glory should fly in every neighborhood. This is still the land of the free. Sometimes I wonder why we keep trying to tear it apart. We're only breaking our heart while it's still mine and still yours. It's still worth standing up for. I'm still a one nation under God believer, American dreamer.
That's what it is, American Dreamer. And there she is, Tiffany Woys, as we've already mentioned. But, wow. And you just dropped that song. It just came out, right?
Yeah, we kind of just did like a surprise drop on it just because we rushed it actually. And I just realized as we were talking, I voted today. So I have my I voted sticker. I guess it's appropriate for the song.
Oh, I love it. Yes, absolutely. All right.
But yeah, we kind of had to rush it because I really wanted it out leading into, I guess, in a sense, capitalizing on election season, right? I think more than ever, this is the time for people to hear that kind of a message, especially just the way people are treating each other based upon how they're voting, which is just crazy to me. I've talked about it before. Like, I remember my mom talking with her friends over breakfast or coffee, and they would be talking about who they're voting for, and they were voting different, and then they just were like, okay, and moving on, and then that was it. And now the hatred that's going on in our country is just so sad that I have been called to want to write something like this for a really long time, but arguably I've been really scared too, and which is all in itself crazy, in my opinion, that my message is very unifying and not red or blue, but red, white, and blue.
Right.
And so I was still scared. So that's kind of where we're at in America, which is sad. And that made me even more encouraged to write it and put it out. So I wrote it in July with my co-writers, and I was like, how fast can we get in the studio and turn this around? So I have, luckily, an incredible team, and we turned it around really quickly, and we released it in September.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I got the call from, the people that call me that rep you.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you got to hear this song. We got to get it on. You need to talk to Tiffany. And, I said, absolutely, let's do it. Now, I get it, though. I get the whole scared thing. Why do we all feel that way? It's, I can't, you're right. There was a time where we could sit around a table and have a conversation about nobody.
At the end of the day, policy is opinion based, right? Some things are going to blend better in other people's lives and others are, and that's why we vote the way we vote. And so it's interesting. And I want to say thank you too for supporting it and having me on to even talk about it, because I will say, obviously I would never name names, but there are, similar stations that have supported me before that won't play this song, and they've said we won't even touch anything that feels even remotely political. And that's why I go, this isn't political though. This is patriotic. So yes. But that's what's crazy is I watched a video the other day, because I'm very interested in politics regardless, because I majored in it. I majored in political science. So but I just saw a video the other day where they said, we don't know when it happened, but patriotism has become political. And that to me is like, what?
That's like, no, it's just so crazy.
It
Everything's crazy.
is. And this song more than ever right now, like I've seen it connect with so many people in just a short amount of time. And it's just something that people, I just think it's a message that is just so important to hear because of how divided we really have become. And at the end of the day, we are all Americans, and that's something to relate on. And we should be proud to be an American and take care of our country. And that starts with loving one another.
Yeah. You're 100% correct, Tiffany. Look at her.
No, she
Oh,
really
that's
just wants to
okay.
be in there. She's
I
proud to be an American kitty too, you know?
Absolutely, and she loves her mama. So that's the cool thing. What's her name, by the way?
This one's Belle.
Belle. That's right. You have more than one, if I remember
I
correctly.
have two, Cinderella and Belle. Cinderella is not as, I think, as
Yeah, Cinderella's over on the couch. Don't worry.
yeah, well, actually, she's actually on the chair behind me,
Oh,
but
okay.
she's just a little bit more camera shy. Belle, not so much.
Not so
She's
much. I
yeah,
love it. But getting back to the song, you said you wrote it in July.
yeah.
And I mean, you just, with everything going on in the world, you felt that, I need to do this. I need to write something. I need to get together with some friends,
Yeah.
throw a bunch of ideas out on the table, and let's put it together and get a song out of it.
I was finally pushed to my breaking point. So I kind of let things go until I feel really called or pushed to do something. And for instance, like I think we talked last time that I wasn't always a songwriter. I didn't really feel
Right.
called to, I didn't feel pushed to. And then I went through my broken engagement and I finally felt called and pushed to say something. So I think I'm just the type of person that you can't really push me to do anything unless I feel pushed to.
Right.
And this was a song that I was like, I really feel pushed to do this. First and foremost, I got started singing by singing the national anthem and proud to be an American. Those are the songs I started singing first before I ever knew what being patriotic meant.
Mhm.
So it just feels very full circle for me to have written my own patriotic song.
Cool.
And luckily, I had, my co-writers, when we were together writing this, we all felt this weight on us of everything that's been going on. We're like, you know what? Nobody's writing one of these. And I said, even more so than just capitalizing on something that nobody's doing, I just felt like I needed to for the sake for me. So, yes, I'm proud to say that I'm one of the few that's doing it, but at the same time, I'm not proud of that. I'm like, why aren't more people being patriotic? And the most thing I can come up with is fear.
I think a lot of it is fear, but you're putting your fear in a song, and that in hopes of others going, you got to listen to this. She's
Yeah.
absolutely right. We need to come together.
Right.
Yeah.
And no matter like what, before we put it out, I made sure to write a lengthy statement to go along with it before we
Mhm.
sent it out to people so that they could kind of know my heart and know where I was. And it's just interesting because no matter who listens to it, if I don't care who you're voting for, you should be able to relate to this song because it isn't a party
Right.
choosing song. It's just not like obviously we all have our own opinions. We're obviously, I mean, I voted, so we know I voted, but that's not the point. So like I'll have people come to me on my social medias and be like, "Well, who are you voting for?" And I go, "That's not the point of the song though." And that's really not my place to say. I think as an artist, for me, it's more like I think I should use my platform and my voice to say we should all vote, but I just am not the type of person that wants to be the reason why someone voted for somebody else. I don't want to influence someone in a certain direction. In my opinion, it's more about I want you to get out there and learn what you think is best for you, and then you vote that way. I really don't like, again, not hating on any other artist or anybody else, but I really hate when someone kind of tells you how to vote because that I think just defeats the purpose. I think if anything, just get people to register and get people to vote. That's the best way that I think you could be
No,
influential.
100%. You're right on, Tiffany. You're right on with that. Like I started to say earlier, I can't even go to work and have a discussion about, the
It's
election. I mean,
crazy. Because I just so remember, I mean, like, mind you, I think the first election I was allowed to vote in, obviously, but when I was 18 was the Romney Obama
oh,
election.
yes,
And it
okay.
was funny because someone asked me in an interview, like, when did you start to feel that fear? And I was like, I think it was around that election, though, because And nowhere before that, like even when I watched my mom, no one felt that way. Like it wasn't like that. And then all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, it shifted to where we all had to be really scared about just, I mean, goodness gracious, just because we're talking about grocery prices and gas prices, it's just that I don't know why that's
I know exactly. Exactly. You're 100% correct. It's really sad that it's that way, but this is a song that needs to be heard and
yes.
heard in a way, and you have to understand it's for everybody. It's not just the left, the right.
Yep.
It's everybody. It's the red, white, and blue.
And
It's
I was really hoping, like, even though I want my voice on the song and I love that I'm the one that recorded it, I almost wish it was heard by a way bigger artist and they wanted to record it because more importantly than me being the one on it and receiving any kind of credit for the song, I would prefer just to be heard by many as people as possible. Like I think it's the message. The message is far more important than me singing it.
Mhm.
And that's how I have felt about this song. And I'm very honored to be the one that's been to release it. But I almost hope somebody comes along that's way bigger, that has a platform that can get it heard more and will want to record it because it's the message that's important to
Now,
me.
have they gone to satellite radio? Have they gone to any of the major networks and said, "Hey, you need to hear this"?
Yeah, I think we have. And like I said, there's a lot of people that really just kind of won't touch it. And that's very sad. Again, I respect everybody's decision on what they need to do
Right.
business
Right.
wise, but at the end of the day, I mean, my opinion is that I find it quite sad that they even feel that they can't attach themselves to something that just says I'm proud to be an American, and I'm really sad that this country is so divided right now.
But maybe because you have done this and put out American Dreamer, maybe it's better for you. Maybe it's okay that you're not on whatever stations they are. People are going to know. People are going to go, what about Tiffany Woys? That song, that American Dreamer. Why aren't they playing it?
Yeah.
It could have that effect.
Yeah,
Where,
it could push people
yeah,
to, play it. And I hope that because first of all, I want this song to have a life way past election day. I think that this is one of those songs that you could literally play year round. This isn't has anything to do with like, oh, it has, it's over, it's dead and done come November 5th. No, absolutely not. Like I know I'm gonna be doing a lot of promoting with it come around Veterans Day too. Like there are just things that
yeah,
this song is one of those ones that you could hear 4th of July, Veterans Day, really anytime,
any
and
time of
it
the year.
would make sense.
Yep. Do you have plans to get out on Veterans Day? Do you have any? Are you working on getting some gigs and being able to perform this song for the
I
troops
think we're
or
gonna do
whoever?
some interviews and stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna be a lot of performing, but
Yeah.
I think I have some things lined up, and then I'm also gonna do some like Instagram takeovers when it comes to things regarding around that holiday. We're trying to line some things up now. It's been very difficult. I mean, as you would know, maybe not listeners would know, but when you release a song so quickly, it's hard to get things lined up the way. I don't think people ever realize the preparation that goes into a song being released. And because this was done so quickly, our options have been quite limited. So we have been really pushing it more so that online, hopefully it will catch fire somewhere online.
Well, did you use like the TikTok platform or Insta or any of the?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're putting the song. I mean, I've been noticing a lot of people putting the song behind videos and things of that nature, which I really love. Like,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to ask people to put it behind their video, maybe of them with when they take the picture.
Yeah.
The it's like you didn't do it if you didn't take that picture.
Right.
So I mean,
I
those kinds of things I think would be really helpful to get just more people to even again hear the song. It has really nothing to do with my name attached to it. It's more about like, did you hear that song?
Right. Right. But they're going to want to know Tiffany Woys.
I mean, that would be a wonderful added bonus, but I have been saying from the start when I released this song that this song has meant the most to me, and because of the message, and that it is just so much bigger than me or a
Mhm.
breakup song or anything else I've ever done. Like it's the message that I think I am just genuinely the most proud of.
Absolutely. 100%. And when it comes to putting a pen to paper, now that you are writing songs and your life experiences, and that's a hit song right there. I mean, just for those that
Yes.
don't know, and if you don't mind me saying, it was 6 weeks before you were going to get married, if I
Yeah.
remember right, that your significant other said, I don't want to do this.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and it was a total shock to you. But you held your head high and you said, screw you, I'm moving up. So, and good for you. But you know what? You came out with a song shortly thereafter, if I remember right.
Yeah, I have a few
About
songs
that.
on the EP that was released, but one that I think will go to radio next that I think really people latched onto organically after I released the EP was a song called Took Back. And
Right.
we haven't sent it to radio yet. And to me, it's my, other than American Dreamer, it is definitely my most well crafted song that is 100% the most vulnerable. It's one of the ones I'm absolutely most proud of. And that song I think will eventually continue to have another life because I think people have just realized thought I'm not going to promote it any further, but it will be my next song to radio. So I'm very, very, very proud of that song, and I still love talking about it and performing it because
Could be. Yeah.
it's a huge piece of me. And actually, when we wrote American Dreamer, we wrote another song that I'm just so wildly proud of that is about the similar situation, but it's actually in a perspective of talking to my dad.
Uh,
So I'm really, really proud of that song, and I can't. We haven't gone into the studio yet to record it. I think we've gone in. The musicians have cut their part, but I haven't recorded my voice yet on it, my vocals. So I'm really excited to cut that. And my dad has never heard it. Doesn't know anything about it. So I'm really, really proud of it. I think it's going to be a good tearjerker, and I think it's also something that any father who has daughters will absolutely like. Even if their daughter didn't go through what I went through, they're gonna relate to it. They're gonna be like, I can't even imagine this happening to my daughter.
well, I could tell you if that happened to my daughter, I'd probably be in jail. I'm just,
It's funny. Most say that. I look at my dad, I go, what the heck? And he goes, I think we were all just so in shock. And I go, yeah, probably so. And
you're probably right. Yes. But,
yeah.
we all think about that and we want the best for our daughters. I have three. They've given me 8 grandkids. I mean, but if anything ever was to happen like that, and I hope they're watching this because I'll be coming after you. No, yeah. So it's just that
Well,
it's a
and
father-daughter relationship that's like none other.
exactly. And the thing is when a man comes to you for your daughter's hand in marriage,
Mhm.
you're trusting him, right? And
Yeah,
I think that's really where I got the idea was that I was like, gosh, it wasn't just me that trusted him. It was my dad that trusted him. And that breaks my heart because I think like every parent, I can't speak upon that because I'm not a parent yet, but I can only imagine that if your child's heart breaks, your heart breaks too.
it does. It
And so that's kind of where this song has come from. And I'm so excited to get that one recorded because I never thought I was going to do something that I thought was going to be better than Took Back. And this is better because at the end of the day, it's actually not focusing on the butthole that left me. It's actually a song to my dad, which is far more impactful to me
does.
than
Mhm.
giving this guy any more breath.
The hell with him.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look at you now. Look at you. You're happy. You're into another relationship. Life is good. You're
I am.
smiling. You've got a song from that the previous relationship that, by the way, you could do very well with that. And for a couple of reasons, in my opinion, it's a real life experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And somebody's going to hear that because you're not the only one that's been through stuff like that. And they're going to go, damn, that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's exactly why I had written it. It was interesting because I think it might have been even last time we talked. When I went to go write that and record that, there was really no songs out there that I could relate to. And just because I'm an artist doesn't mean I don't turn to music the way just the average person does to feel less alone. I do that too. So I was like, there's nothing out there that feels like it's telling my story. It's all about either divorces or just breakups. There's no like broken engagement songs.
Right.
So I was like, heck yeah. And then it's so funny, like right when I put mine out, other people start doing it too. And I go, well, clearly we were all going through this at the same time.
Exactly. But still, exactly. Exactly. So that's cool. Actually, just to kind of refresh everybody a little bit, if they haven't seen you on the Skip Happens podcast before, how long have you actually been singing?
Oh my gosh. 5 years old.
Yeah. If you don't mind me, you're 34 now. Correct?
34, yeah.
Did you just have a birthday?
It was in July.
All right. Well, let me just put it this way. I'm double that. So, so if that'll make you feel any better. Absolutely. But so you've been singing since you've been 5 years of age,
Yeah.
5 years old. That's
Mhm.
cool. National anthem. You said God bless America, stuff like that. Maybe.
Oh yeah, the Lee Greenwood song. I did that for um talent shows. I sang the national anthem when I was 5 years old at a school rally. And
Cool.
I mean, and then I continue to do it for everywhere else. And it was just kind of like you now I do it as an adult because I've had the honor to sing the national anthem later on, like not even that long ago at a NASCAR event. And it is so much more nerve-wracking.
Well, it's the toughest song to sing. I know everybody says that, but
Oh,
it's the hardest song to sing. And whenever I hear an artist doing it, I'm going, oh God, just hope they get it right. Just
I know.
no, it's not
It's
meant in a bad way. It's meant in a way that you screw up just a little bit.
little bit,
Just a
little.
little bit.
Well, it's like if you start it just a little too high, then you won't be able to hit the other parts. So you have to actually start it way lower than you would naturally want to start a song, so that you make sure you can progressively build to hit the rocket's red glare. You gotta start a little lower. But what's interesting is like it is such an honor every time I'm asked to sing that song, and
That's so
I do
cool.
not take that for granted. However, it is very nerve wracking as an adult. I am so like before I go up to sing it, if anyone is near me or with me, I'm like, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, please stop, don't look at me. Because I'm like going over it in my
Totally.
head, even though I've sang it thousands of times, I'm still like so zoned in. And I remember the last time I sang it, such a sweet man. He was a somebody who was going to be reading a prayer for the audience before he was trying to have a conversation with me before the cameras went live for me. And I go, I have to listen to him. Like
Mhm.
he's like this. I can't ignore this man. Like he's and the whole time I'm just looking at him like, uh-huh. And it's just crazy because even though I've done it so many times, I still get just so nervous. But I think that also might play a role into the fact of how impactful the song actually is and really what it means to me. And maybe that's why I get so nervous, because it holds a lot of weight.
It
There's you
does.
got to take it very seriously, and it gets me very flustered and irritated when someone doesn't take it seriously, because I was like, this is a big deal.
It's a very big deal.
Mhm.
You say when you get ready to sing, for example, the national anthem, but you're like, get away from me. I got to think about this. I have to concentrate on this. I have to do this and that. But I think I'm the opposite. I think
Really?
I think it's like, okay, I'm not going to think about it. Not that I don't sing the national anthem. God forbid I do that.
You know what? I think it would be better off if I did what you did. To be honest with you, I think it would be if I was actually allowed to allow myself to just go, not even focus on it. I think it would. It's kind of like it's
Don't
like
over.
riding a bicycle. You get on it and you just know how to do it.
It's like,
So
yeah, when I'm doing the radio stuff and I get on stage, I mean, there was a time back in the day where I would think about what I'm going to say, how am I going to walk out on that stage? What am I going to do? I would think about that, and then I'd get myself so worked up and so
yeah.
nervous, and I get out there and I mess it all up. So I'm better off not to think about it. And when it's my turn to go on stage to do the presents for a show, I just hand me the mic, I walk out, hey, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just go with it. It is what it is. And those for me come out to be some of the best. I mean, just wing it.
For me, if I just get the first lyric out of my mouth, like if I
Mhm.
just like, then it all goes away. It's just the
Yeah.
build up to it.
Yep.
Now I will say I'm far more like you in the sense when I'm doing my podcast. I like to I'm wing it. I think it's the talking aspect. I feel like I'm so much more comfortable having a conversation, even though I love to sing and this is what I do. I have way more, I feel like, nerves on me when I sing versus when I'm talking to somebody. It just feels very natural and comfortable for me. And but yet when I'm on stage, I feel very much at home. It's just right when I get those first words out of my mouth to
And
sing, then
everything
it
comes down.
it feels like it all goes away. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, with the podcast, as you know, what I do, I don't take 100 notes ahead of time. I'm not writing a lot down. I just look, okay, it's Tiffany Woys. Okay, I see, yep, the new song, great song, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's go. And here we have a conversation because we can play off of each other.
Yeah.
I can talk about, you'll say something, then I'll give my perspective or my opinion on it back. I mean, it goes back and forth. And all that being said, tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm starting to get more comfortable with it, like how you are with having a conversation. I do come in, I used to do question by question, which was a nightmare.
Oh,
I would always fly off of it because I feel like I'm good at being able to wing it. But
mhm,
now I've transitioned now to just bullets of like the top things I know I want to address
right.
or want to get, and then I turn it more into the conversation where, and I think that made me have to listen to my guests more, because you don't have a show if you don't interact with the guests back after they say something. You have to interact in the conversation. But the podcast is going really well. So it's called What's Mine Is Yours. It's on its
Mhm.
second season right now, and it's completely different than what it was first season, which is terrifying yet very exciting. We're in a studio with a
Okay,
production team,
nice.
and so I love that aspect because it keeps me kind of within the lines instead of, I like to color outside of lines sometimes, but it
Mhm.
keeps me a little bit more organized because there's a clock that's counting me down. I know I can't just do whatever, but at the same time I found, I'm interviewing songwriters for the most part. And since we're not on camera very often, I felt like they might have been a little bit more comfortable in my living room sitting on my couch. So with now lights and cameras and everything on them, I think that it's harder to get what you want out of them. And really who that comes down to is that job comes down to me. That job comes down to how good am I at being able to make someone feel comfortable, safe, and kind of almost letting them forget that the cameras and lights are even there, that it's really just me and you sitting here.
Mhm.
And that is something that was a challenge, but I think I decently have a good read on people, and I think that has really, like, my god-given talents of making people feel like they've known me a long time, or
Mhm.
that we
Mhm.
can just, and they can trust me,
Mhm.
has been something that has played very well into this role, because I didn't realize how much that would be so important until I realized, like, gosh, let me put the shoe on the other foot. When
Yeah.
I'm being interviewed, I do better when I feel safe and trusted by the person who's interviewing me. So I have to be that role for somebody else. So I really have loved where it's gone. I made sure that our setup is, I'm in a chair, but they're on a couch,
Yeah, I
so that
like
I can bring a little of a living room kind of back into the studio feel.
Yeah, I've actually
And
thought about that a little bit, not to interrupt you, but,
no, you're
I
fine.
have my studio here. This is my own studio, but, I mean, it's an actual podcast studio, but I have a table, as you can see. But I've
Mhm.
actually thought about putting a couple of chairs in the corner and and changing the setup a little bit just to make the guests that do come into the studio, make them feel a little more at home.
Mhm.
Instead of sitting at this well, it's not really a formal table. I got enough shit on this table to, I don't stuff. I mean, everything's baseball and NASCAR and everything else, but still, I actually thought about that. So I hear where you're coming from, and it sounds like you've had somebody guiding you a little bit too. Have and
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
great.
it was definitely my team's decision to move into a studio, and
Mhm.
I'm so glad that I listened to them and went with that direction, because I kind of feel like the format we were doing before, I almost think people felt too comfortable that they were talking for hours and hours. And let's be honest, most podcasts, people don't really listen past an hour. It's very
No,
difficult to
no,
get people to listen, so having this more of a structure has absolutely
100%.
helped me even become better at what I do, better at the job.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very grateful for that, because I feel like I've been able to really grow into this position just so much more than I was just 6 months ago.
It's not just, I know, you being an artist and you got American Dreamer out there. We talked about that. We talked about some of the earlier music, but it's not only you being an artist. Now you're a podcast host.
Yeah.
And now it's like I think people would go, oh, she could do that. It's easy, but it's not really easy.
Oh,
It's not.
no, I think that's so funny now when I hear that, because I might have been even guilty of
I,
saying that
yeah,
earlier
yeah.
on.
It's like, oh, I could do that. No, you can't.
No, it's it's way harder than people think, not to deter anybody from trying to do it. I absolutely encourage you to, because I think it makes you step out of your comfort zone. However, I think there's a statistic out there that says no one, it's hard to get past the sixth episode. It's the sixth or eighth episode. I forget which one it is. And we're on, I think, episode like 40 something now. And
What? Yep.
it's, but when it comes, I'm just very lucky. I do have a team that helps me, edit them and film
Perfect.
them. If someone does it all on their own, I totally get why you stop after the sixth episode.
Well, there's, you could do it that way. Plus, the way I do it is this is what you get.
True. Yeah, absolutely. And I
I'm not
do.
editing anything here. This is like you and I raw. This is the real deal, and this is what gets posted. I may put a little bit in the beginning, maybe something at the end now, but that's about it. I don't put it up.
I will say
thumbs or anything like that.
for ours, I mean, I think it's for the sake of clips. Sorry.
Yep.
For online and whatnot. So I think they try and edit out as many of the ums or blank stares that sometimes people have. Like when I ask them a question and they go, I got to ponder on that one. And I go, okay, we'll edit that out. Don't you ponder away, like you got all the time you need. But
love it.
It's really been a lot of fun. And I have found such a huge passion for it that I didn't realize I was going to have a passion for something equal, if not a little bit more than singing and being an artist. And I feel weird even saying that, but I think sometimes the older I'm becoming, I just realize the reality of some things. And I know as much as I want to be an artist and it's something that's really in like deep within my heart, I just know that I can't do that forever. But podcasting, I absolutely could.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. See, you got it down, girl. You know what's going on. The name of the podcast is what again?
What's mine is yours.
Okay, and where they can get that from any platform?
Yeah, any platform. And what's wonderful about it is if you are not interested, say, in songwriting, everyone's into knowing secrets behind the curtain of everything. And that's kind of what we talk about too, is I'm really hard on my guests and asking them pretty challenging questions about the music industry and hoping that they feel comfortable enough to share.
So what would be one secret that you could share? I mean, being an artist, what is there like something that, the average.
You know what I like to be really honest about?
What's
And
that?
here's the thing is there are certain topics, I have found there are 3 topics in an artist's life that people don't like to talk about because it's just like taboo. Ooh, it's the idea of fame, money, and needing to seek love from other people. For some reason, all of those things feel very creepy for someone to want to talk about. It's like they don't want to admit to any of those things. But if you got really raw, honest artists that people were just honest and not trying to play a political game in this world of the music industry, they would, if like they took a truth serum and they were able to just say whatever, it would be, of course they want to be famous, of course they want to make a lot of money, and of course they want to seek love from other people. It's the admiration of the recognition of the work they're putting out.
It's called.
And the fact that nobody feels comfortable to say that out loud kind of is weird. I don't understand. We all get into this business wanting people to know our names, wanting to make money while doing it, and being recognized and loved for the things we do.
100%.
And it's so weird that nobody wants to talk about it. And the other thing that nobody wants to talk about, and I get into it on the podcast with a lot of people, is physical dollar signs. Like the fact that this is not cheap to do this. And I think it's okay to say that, because if somebody is listening to this, like say this show right now, and there is a girl or a guy that wants to be an artist, I'm telling you right now, not only is it a lot of hard work, it's a lot of fun, but it takes a lot of your own financial backing to do so. And for some weird reason, that is a taboo topic and you're not supposed to talk about it. And it's just like, but if I could help somebody else out, or if you're just a fan of music, maybe you'll have way more of an appreciation for independent artists or other people, because they're putting their own heart and soul and money into it. They're not being backed by anybody. There's no label backing them. Maybe more people will take notice to smaller artists because they'll know that they're spending a lot of money to do this.
And that, I mean, with my own podcast here, Skip Happens, I'd like to concentrate and focus on the independents, like yourself.
Yeah.
There's nobody behind you. You know what I mean? You don't have the big label.
Yeah.
You're independent. And that's why, I mean, I do get some of the big artists on, quite a few actually, but I get even more of the independents. And I want them to be heard. I want their name to get out there. I want to, let the viewers or the listeners know where they can go and get the music. Because I'll tell you, some of the independents are better than some of the well-established artists that are out there. And you just heard that on Skip Happens. I'm just telling you, I have a lot of friends that are major artists, but many are so freaking awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
There's others that,
Well, and we talk about again on my podcast too about the lack of substance in music right now, and how it's kind of scary. I don't know which guest I talked about this with, but I did bring up a very monumental point, and I Googled the other day, what's the last most influential thing that's happened in country music in the last 5 years?
oh
Because
boy,
I really wanted to know. Well, everywhere you look, guess what comes up? Fast Car Luke Combs. That freaked me out. And before, anyone jumps down my throat and makes me think I'm saying anything hateful to Luke Combs or Tracy Chapman, I'm not.
no.
What concerns me is that is a cover, and you're telling me the most influential thing that's come from our genre is not even an original song.
See, how can that be? You're right. It's
We are in trouble. And I'm not saying Luke did a phenomenal job on the song. I'm pretty sure it even won Song of the Year, which again scares me. Like
it's not.
that song already had a moment, right? So
Right.
while I'm so glad it got airplay and it became big all over again for Tracy and for Luke, that's wonderful. But what about all of the original content that should be being made, that should be making an impact? What in the world is happening in our genre?
God, I love you. You're like hitting it right on the head. You are.
And what tells me though, and what scares me about that even more so was that the best that people had to pick from? And that's what, like, again, Luke did a great job, almost too good of a job, to where that was the best our listeners had to pick from in 5 years, that we are lacking in quality music that makes an impact in people. Like
Right.
we're constantly getting in the rooms trying to write the next quick hit that we can just throw out to radio as fast as we can so we can get charted. And we're forgetting the songs that need to last a lifetime. The songs like The Chair, the songs like The Dance, songs like, like all songs that really, I mean, the last song, when I was really looking it up, the last song that had a lot of impact that I thought, and I think this was in 2016, Humble and Kind. That is the last song that I think right now has had an immense amount of impact and lasting power. So yes, there are a lot of good songs that are coming out every day that we're hearing, but what's the lasting power they're going to have? Are you going to remember them 10 years from now?
That's a problem we have right now, especially with a lot of the artists that are hitting the top of the charts. Not to mention names, but we all know who they are.
Yeah.
Are we going to know these people 5 years from now?
And personally, what I'm going to give you my opinion, I don't think so. So I think labels are doing a thing right now where they're taking the most viral things in artists right now. They're signing them. They're releasing the music. It's going great. It's hitting the charts. They're making a ton of money. And then you're going to see a new cycle of artists all over again. And it's going to be fast food music, fast food artists. It's going to be coming in. And it's not the artist's fault. I'm sure they would probably have a ton of potential and be able to soar. But I'm not sure that the industry is going to give them a chance to.
Wow.
So I think it's going to be up to the audience and the listener to vote with our pocketbooks and things like that to really create long-lasting careers for people. So if you really believe in somebody, make sure you get out there, see their shows, buy their music, stream their music, because I'm not sure we are in a time right now where artists are going to last very long.
Right. I would agree.
Yeah.
My God, you just you took Skip Happens podcast to the right to the edge. It's like, wow. But I would have to agree with you. I mean, it's good to disagree, but I don't disagree with you. I'm agreeing with you that yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And in fact, I had no idea, and I'll check that out when we get done tonight. But wow, that really got me thinking. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
nothing
and I
against
think the
being
one that
smart
came
is
beneath
wrong.
that, what people were saying on Google was luckily an original song. It was Morgan Wallen's Last Night. So, and I think because that crossed so many genres on
Mhm.
radio and whatnot. So that was the one that was next to talk about. But it was it was fast car, and I just was really disturbed by that. And not because it's not a great song, of course it is, or it wouldn't have been big all over again.
Tracy Chapman,
And
I mean,
I
wow.
mean, it was incredible. I love the Luke Combs version and the Tracy Chapman
Yeah.
version. I love both, but
But
I just think that what are we doing as a genre wrong that song of the year is a song that's already had a moment in a life? Like what's going on in our music?
yeah. What do you think the label thinks about that?
That's a really good point. You know who I need to have more on my show is people from labels. The show is meant more for the songwriter. And I'm not so sure people who work at a label would be willing to have a very open and honest, vulnerable conversation,
I
right?
think
I
they would
think
have to be careful in what they're saying because it's not all about how good a song is. It's about how much money that song is going to make.
absolutely. And the other thing that concerns me a lot with, and I think we're slowly transitioning out of the TikTok star. I think we're almost past that. Um, but what concerns me about these people who make reels and everything that go viral online and then labels say sign them because of this moment where they can make a lot of money off of a person.
Mhm,
Try putting that person in front of 30,000 people. They've been singing in their bedroom. Like,
mhm.
what happened to the progressive ladder that an artist had to climb
Right.
to where it really did create a long lasting career? This is another reason why I think you're going to see artists be really hot and then really cold because they did not climb the ladder that everyone else naturally really had to climb and really get their boots dirty doing everything else they needed to do to get to this position, and all of a sudden they're handed all of this greatness and they don't know what to do with
Wow. No, I agree. Look at you. That's why
it.
the podcast is so great because you get both perspectives, being an artist and now somebody talking about the issues and the way music is being made and the thoughts on music. And nowadays, it's kind of all over the place.
Well, and you also get to learn too. Like I get to learn on the podcast, and I don't push. I think I need to do better at like a sense of journalism, in a sense of pushing a little harder on my guests. But I also want people to feel comfortable and safe, right? I don't want to feel like I'm trying to corner them into anything. But I will notice very quickly when I ask maybe a tougher question where they give me the more political correct answer, and and then I realize, oh my gosh, they still think they have something to lose, right? Like they're scared someone's watching and
Yep.
they need to make sure they say the right thing. And I go, but the problem is, we're not going to create any change and nothing's going to get any better if more people don't decide to just be honest.
True. Wow. Yeah. Well, it's a podcast. You can say whatever you want, but you're right. You don't know who's going to watch it at one time
Yeah,
or another. It could be a few weeks down the road. It could be a couple of years down the road.
absolutely.
If
And
you-
I'm talking to people who have very big careers, right? And
Yeah.
I think that they still have a lot on the line. And I respect that so much. But I would also really love and respect if people just said, you know, hey, yeah, this is how it is.
Yeah. Did you ever think about getting maybe some radio execs on your podcast and say, why is it you play certain songs, you don't play others?
I
Oh,
see, and I think that would be really fun to do. So
as
I
an
might be
independent
calling you
artist,
for
how come you're
that.
not playing my song? I mean, not that it's up to you if you play it or not. I understand that and I respect that, but why?
Absolutely.
Why?
It's funny. I think I'm going to start. So we now have all of our guests for season 2, but I'm starting to think about doing different seasons that are themed differently. So season 1 and season 2 were strictly songwriters, and I had a few singer songwriters on there, but I think I might start doing, okay, season 3 will be people who are label strictly only. Season
Love
4
it.
will be
Love it.
radio only, or mixing in a few other things, because I think getting the perspective from all parts is really, really interesting. And what's great about label people or radio people, we can still talk about songwriting. We can still talk about the impact of what that means to the industry. And I believe that everyone will have a different version of what that is. And I think it will still be very like great for the podcast. I think that we can still keep it songwriter focused, but now we just get the perspective from other people in the
There's
industry.
always a different angle. That's all.
Absolutely.
And you get different
Mhm.
opinions, which is cool. And I already know that my phone's going to be ringing tomorrow. It's going to be JR and it's going to be Jay. And they're going to be, what did you say last night? Sure, they're going to be watching this as soon as I officially post this, even though we're live on YouTube right now. But yeah, I know my phone's going to ring, but it's all good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
I think, I always make sure that like my team, I think at this point they know me so well now that they trust whatever I'm going to say because I do feel like I have I think I have a decent way with words. I don't think try to go out
Very
of my way to offend anybody, and I try to make sure that what I say I can back 110%,
mhm.
and I try to be as educated as I can on any topic before I really kind of throw my name into the hat with the conversation. I like to make sure that I know what I'm talking about versus just people who, say anything just to say it. I really do take my time to think about these topics and
Well,
educate myself on them before I come to a forum like yours to speak about them.
yeah, awesome. Awesome. Let's back it up. We're going backwards. American Dreamer. That's the song. That's what we started with tonight.
Yes.
And then we went off and talked about, your previous life, so to speak. And then, of course, we talked about the podcast, which I absolutely love. Um, and I'll say one thing. I mean, this is in my own home. This is my own studio. This is my land, my cave. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I got a voiceover booth over there. I've got, a vocal booth over there. And I've got the podcast table over here. This is my future. So I don't have to be doing radio the rest of my life. I have something to fall back on. I've
Mhm.
made great connections. Obviously, I have a lot of connections in Nashville. Met great people like yourself, and I know if I called and said I need somebody to come on tonight, you would do it in a second.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's just those relationships that really, this is my life, this is my world, and this is what I love. So,
Mhm.
and I get to talk about American Dreamer, which we have an election. I know if you watch this like within the next day or so, I want to say less than 2 weeks, it's going to be election day. She's got I voted sticker on her. See it right there. That's right. I voted. Early voting. I don't think we can do that here yet. Not until
Oh, really? I didn't know that was
I don't know. I could be see, I
Mhm.
don't know a lot about that. I know I'll probably go on election day and do my duty. But I talked to somebody today and I said, hey, so you're gonna vote, right? No. Why aren't you going to vote? She goes, I'm not even registered to vote. I said, why?
Oh.
Why? I said, you know what? And this is, I mean, I know we're supposed to talk about music here.
No, yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. Wait, whoa, whoa. So you can bitch about everything that's going on, but you don't want to vote. So if you don't vote, she goes, I'm just one person. No, don't you realize
Oh, I hate that.
my vote's
Uh,
going to matter. Every single vote matters. It all adds up. And I'm like,
mhm.
you know what? You need to vote. You need to get, well, I don't even know if it's probably too late for her to get registered.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Register. Yeah.
So it's like when she told me that today, I'm like, I hate you. Well, I don't, but you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, no, I mean, because it's our American duty. We
it is.
fought for those rights and we should not take them for granted. It's something that it literally is our American duty and right to vote. And you're absolutely
No,
right. It's very hard to listen to somebody complain about the way things are going in this world, but yet they don't use their voice at the ballot box. Like that,
exactly.
it doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm very irritated with people that do that or the people that just say, well, the only thing that I can even come up with it if someone says I don't believe in either candidate, so I can't vote. So I'm like, if that's the closest thing I can get to a good excuse.
That's not even an excuse.
It's really not because at the end of the day, one of them is going to be.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean, you got to
you
go.
might as well get to do your own homework and do some research and look up what aligns with you the best and get out there and still do your American duty.
With American Dreamer. You can play the
Yeah.
music, you can play the song in the car as you're heading to the polls.
Yeah, you
It's
absolutely.
not a political song. Don't take it that way, but it's for everybody. It's about it's being American. It's all
Yes.
about just being an American. It doesn't matter what side you're on. Where you,
No,
it's a great song. It's a great song. So yeah, I voted. I keep looking at that because I don't know.
I know. I forgot to even take it off, but now I kind of feel like needs to stay
Was
on.
there a long line? Because
Oh yeah, I waited about an hour.
yeah, and that's in Nashville.
Yeah. So, and I talked to a friend today, and she said she waited 2 hours in line.
Really? Wow.
But and you know what's funny is I've never waited in a line before, so which means clearly people are taking this one pretty dang seriously, which I mean I love to see.
I do.
And whatever got people out to vote more,
So be it.
good. Yep.
Yep. Good, good. Tiffany Woys, the song is American Dreamer. If you don't have it and you want to get it, where can they get it?
On all platforms. You
Damn.
can stream it, you can buy it, whatever you got to do. I highly suggest listening to it. Even if you didn't like me as an artist, you'll like the message.
We love you as an artist.
Thank you.
Count on that. And of course, call the radio stations as well and say, hey,
Yeah.
Tiffany Woys is. If you don't, look her up. If you do, play American Dreamer. So
Yes. And if you have the abilities to make, if you ever film things around your house, whatever, you put up videos, use the sound in the background on all the videos.
you should do a Tiffany Woys contest with that. Like you could send them an autographed mug or the
You should.
EP. You know, I mean,
I should do something along these lines because I mean, I think we're going to keep trying to push this song all the way through the new year. So even though election will be over, it really doesn't matter. Like I said, I think the message is a forever thing.
Yeah. The election's going to be over, but will it really be over? That's
I think either way this goes, I think we're going to see some, and I think even that's even more so for the song to be relevant is I think we're
Yeah.
going to see some ugliness from no matter who wins. And I think even more so stream American Dreamer.
There it is. All the more reason to do it. Tiffany Woys, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
No, hanging out on Skip Happens. So good to see you.
It's always a pleasure.
I can't wait till we'll be in Nashville in February. I don't know if you're going to be around or not.
Of course
but
I will.
the country radio seminar, so we got to make sure we, get a beer or something.
I would just absolutely love that.
We'll go down to bar lines in the Omni. We'll do it.
Let's do it.
And talk about life and talk about your music. But thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Skip Happens.
Thank you so much for having me.